Hello, folks. What do we got going on here? Doo-doo. All right. Oh shoot, I don't have the right notebooks. Where did my notebooks go? Okay, 1 second. Okay, we've got the notebooks back, and let's see. What do I want to do today? Do I have anything planned out? I do not think I do. I'm just going to get a version of Visual Studio Debugger up. Awesome. So I can run 4coder, and then I'm going to switch to, there we go, and no, that's not right. Why did that colors to code? Okay, that's not like it. Yes. This ridiculous looking thing that I've created. So, things that I should work on. Obviously it looks ridiculous, and that right there is growing gigantic, which is wrong. There's some definitely messed up details here that we should think about how I want to fix. I want to think about fixing them somehow. Yeah, so one of the things that I could work on is I don't love these branches here that are like going off. Obviously the angles are the same everywhere, which is kind of weird, but I don't like when there's a branch that's like, it doesn't go straight but it goes sideways. So I want to say you have to go straight first. It's like actually something I've wanted to do for a while, because if I do the repopulate, it's still going left to right, and I think this was originally my plan, was to make it go center, and then if center fails, end there. If center doesn't fail, then try left and right. So I'm going to do that first. That seems like the most interesting thing I could do. And just to prepare everyone for my plan today, I'm going to spend about 40 minutes on 4coder and about 40 minutes, or no, I'm going to spend 40 minutes on the tree generator and then 40 minutes on 4coder, depending on if I have 40 minutes left and stuff like that, right? So if you want 4coder stuff, there'll be some 4coder stuff later. Okay, so now what I need to do is actually launch a 4coder instance. One sec, let me fix that, because that's annoying that they're not merged. I do that for effect early on, but then once the stream starts, I stop caring about effect and I just do whatever. Alright, so hopefully there's not going to be bugs today. I do have the bug list here, and I'm going to start a brand new bug list page. Actually, I have a brand new one here. I'm just going to open up to it, so that if I find anything new, I can make note of it and add it to my text file for to-dos. Alright, so I want this one, and tree gen, yes, awesome. So this stuff is in tree gen. I want specifically this, whoops, Wrong keybind in that case. Alright, I want the skeleton stuff. Man, that's a long function line. How about we pare that down? Oh, that's right. Oh well, I'll just do this for now. Okay. It's better than nothing. So, man, it's crazy to think how long that line would be in a monospace font, isn't it? Anywho. So, plus limit, allow colliding, no collisions, I plus plus. Somewhere there should be hotspot count. What does hotspot count do? Branch count. What is branch count? Ah. Okay. There it is. So, basically what's happening up here is I'm switching and deciding which of three cases I want to do, right? And then this code down here does stuff, and let's see, it starts there. All this code here does stuff. Now, is it iterative? Like, do I have... Yeah, it looks like it's doing this iteratively right now, which is not great. I'm going to switch this to being a function of I directly. So, we're going to call this theta base. And then at each step, theta is just going to equal theta base. Okay. It's hard to say. Actually... so there's an interesting thing where if I'm typing and I hit Control Backspace, nothing happens, right? Because it's not bound to anything. But I'm thinking if I were like in Emacs, which forgive me, I'll not actually open a tree generator file here. But if I'm in here and I Control Backspace, doesn't that delete Word? Yes. So I guess it's not really a bug. It just sort of, it feels like a bug sometimes when you're like, you hit backspace and it doesn't happen because you were like doing like control arrow and the control key didn't come up in the right order and stuff like this. It's hard. Anyway, so theta base plus the params.d theta times I. Okay, so that makes theta a parameter of I, which is good. Let me see if we can compile with that. Okay, so it doesn't appear to have any errors, so I'll kill that and go to the tree generator. So this is a feature Cuber Caleb was asking for a super long time. I'll add that to the list of wanted features. Return to previous buffer. Alright, oh, don't wrap that, that's kind of weird. Okay, anyway, okay, so actual branch count, what does that, whoops, what does actual branch count do? So that's keeping track of where we actually end up putting things, so I'll leave that just the way it is. Okay, so it compiled. I want to see if it runs the same way still. It looks like it does. So the only change I made there is that now the thetas, which I was computing before, are not incremental. They're computed based on as a function of I, so that I can change the order that the i's come in. Is there anything else that should be incremental that is not currently? Let's see, when we make a new point, SBP I believe is the name of it, params dot step decay. What is BP step? What is weight? So maybe that should be, as an experiment, should the new length be BP step or on this branch's own specific weight? Okay, and yes, colliding, no collisions. What is the capital I doing? That's keeping track of, if I remember correctly, yeah, that's keeping track of how many iterations. So limit is the number of branches it's allowed to add. Oops, wrong key combos. So it seems like I'm never doing anything to check against capital I except inside that if. That's probably an okay thing to do. I mean, it's not lovely. The other thing I could do is say and I is less than the limit. There, so that the main outer loop will stop. Hopefully that doesn't introduce a bug. It might. That might be why it isn't actually written that way. Is for some reason I decided I wanted. Yeah, well, we'll see. Okay, so theta base is introduced here, and then okay, so let me take the current changes, make sure everything's still good. I believe that I've only changed that capital I thing, so that'll only really change how various stuff regarding man, haven't quite found yet the good looking trees I was finding before. So here's the problem with making something that's fun to play with, like a game or a tree generator, is how are you gonna keep yourself from playing with it when you're supposed to be doing something productive? Yeah, I'm not sure. I might have moved that point in a way that's not so good, but looks like this just started blinking at me, but I don't see any new messages, so maybe not. Okay, so anyway, I want to change the order the I comes in now. So the way I do this kind of thing is I like to say what's the order I want them in, and so basically Yeah, so I'm going to introduce brackets up here so that I can do something kind of cool. Branch count. This p variable doesn't look like it needs to be here until later. And I'll introduce a braces there, even though I don't actually need them. But what I want here is index order equals 0. And then what I'll do is index order equals 1 case index order case 1. Index order equals index order case 3. And then I'll introduce some I can't remember the name of this one because I don't use it very often. Meta persist I32 index order case 1 looks like this. Index order case 3 looks like this. Right? And then when I'm down here, instead of looping over I need to add a layer of indirection in the incrementer here. So I'll name this capitalized taken, J and K are probably taken, it looks like. So how about II. And then I equals the index order given II as input, right? So that just turns my normal loop so I can loop however many times I want, and I pick a branch order ahead of time, and then those become my I's that I use to insert into there. Alright. Okay. So what I'd like to be able to do is watch that grow again. So I can make sure, yeah, look at that, it's populating them center outwards now. Oh, that last step was kind of weird. It just like grew the last batch all at once, didn't it? I is less than limit. Does that as a plus plus I. Okay, I'm going to ask the question, was this actually a buggy addition to the code? Whoops. Oh. So that's broken that, which I should look into. Because it's assuming a thing about the order now that's not true anymore. Okay, so that's an issue with actual branch count, I think. Let me take a look again. Actual branch count. Yes, I was wrong. I don't want this concept. Or I do, but not as a thing that picks the index. No. Oh man, so that's a little bit annoying. the order of the children matters. So it's like you would want to put from left to right. If you don't end up actually putting, if you don't actually put the branch there, it doesn't go in. So interesting. What are these children used for elsewhere? Yeah, here it's looping over the children in order. And down here, it uses the children in order again. Right? Next child. So yeah, it assumes that the children are listed in left to right order in the tree part, which means I have to do a little bit of work here. Like if I'm gonna do them in this out of order way, I still have to make sure they end up in order in there. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll do what I was originally planning to do before I realized that this thing's a little bit screwy, and I'll just say at each stage put the thing at I, right? So 0, 1, and 2 will come in the right orders there, and then we'll have the actual branch count. And then what I'll do is I'll say go over all of those again. And say if vert children I does not equal 0, then do vert children j equals vert children I, and then plus plus the j. Then at the other end I can assert if I'll just declare my j beforehand. And this is why I've gotten into the habit recently and preferred this of always declaring my variables outside, because you always end up wanting them all over the place, and it's cooler. It's just cooler. Alright, and assert that j is exactly equal to actual branch count at the end there. And I think to absolutely make sure that we make that come true, I probably want to set them all to 0 up here. I'll at least assert that, and then we'll find out whether they're being cleared to 0. Assert that vert children 0 equals 0. Okay. So now they're going to fall into the array in order, and any place where I don't put something in there will be a 0, and so when I shrink the array down, it'll be packed correctly down here at the bottom. So the only trick is to make sure it's cleared to 0 up front. Alright, didn't work. Well, let's just wait till it asserts and catch it then. Break. Wait, does this thing do... Oh. That's annoying. Oh, I'm not incrementing actual branch count anymore. Okay, so right here, I still need to increment actual branch count. Okay. Is that better? That looks better, right? Yes, that's back to the way it used to. Well, that's broken still. What is that? Yeah. Some of these things seem like there may be artifacts of like two lines that show up at the same spot or something. That's definitely screwy. What is that? It feels like there's another branch growing out of somebody somewhere that shouldn't be there. Let me get this down here and get, no. Yeah, right about there is kind of where it looks good, maybe. Yeah, so now it grows in the right order so that it looks more like a tree. Right? Okay. So it's kind of better in some ways. I still don't love every aspect. Let's see. 10 more minutes. So I want to say that if that initial straightforward branch doesn't go through, well, okay, there's two things I want to change. These are sort of fine, but this right here maybe is too small. I want a weight that's at least, well, you know what? I'll make this a tree parameter. Params dot min weight threshold. Right? Now if I compile, alright, now if I save and compile, there we go. I go to line 56. Okay, different key combination for go to line. I go to line 56 and real 32 min weight threshold. So, idea. Hypertext links with command slash callback associated. So the idea here could be these two things in Emacs generate errors that allow me to jump to the position at line 315 where I use this non-existent variable, and the position here at line 56 where I declare the struct. And the idea I'm just having is, what if I just build in right here an option that says like, oh, here's another kind of link. It's not a warning or an error link, it's like an action link or some other kind of thing, like a hotfix link. And so if you're on that error and it has a hotfix link, then you can just either click it or do a special key combo to activate it, and it'll insert the thing where it needs to be. Now obviously it probably can't deduce the missing type very easily. I mean, in theory it should be able to from what's on line 315 in a lot of cases, right? Oops, I did that again. 315. It's 316 now. So like here, it might be able to deduce that this is a real because it's compared with this real 32. But even then, it could still insert the word and a semicolon, and then put your cursor before that so you could type in the type name, and then let you continue going through errors. That would be pretty neat. So, interesting. Okay, anyway, yes, so that's a min weight threshold. I'm going to pop over here and we're going to load up app color. And here I want to go to, where do I have my adjusters for things? Alright, new adjuster for things. Wait, this is the wrong section. I want all of that, yes, but I want it here with the adjusters. Do adjuster, ID, plus plus, here's the mouse info, params dot min, don't have autocomplete yet, min weight threshold. I want that to range from like maybe 1.5 to, I don't know, it could go crazy, like I'll say 100.5. For now, we'll see if that's too big. Mouse consumed. Um, 347. Do adjuster. Adjuster. Let's see, 347, that's where I am, just wrong key combo again. Missing parenthesis, oh, it's not an if situation, duh, okay. Do adjuster, did I delete the S? Sorry. There we go, great. Alright, so the weight started at 0. I want to add in a bunch of branches now so that it looks really crazy. Like before. Yes, just like that. And now I want to increase the weight threshold. So if you put it really low, you get a bunch of these nasty dumb branches, but as you decrease it, it starts to look better. And look, I do like, I mean, it looks weird, but like, look, I like this branch here. It's like, and they're all like, it looks kind of like if you wanted trees to look that way. It's kind of neat that it can do that. Huh. You get a lot of very different effects by changing this threshold. If it's too high, you get things like this. They're all twisted and weird. Look at that. And as you lower it, you get things that block other branches. You can make like a cool animation of decreasing this variable over time, I think. Alright, so a pretty good range, 1 to 100 appears to be, as Yoda would say. I think I like this. The weird thing is, like, it's cutting off this branch here. And what I might want to say is that I give a little bit of extra weight help, like I just increase the weight a little bit for free on central branches versus sideways branches, because that's how trees tend to look, because one branch just goes on and little offshoots come out. So, what that would look like is, let me go back to the TreeGen file. When I'm computing this weight here, once I've done everything else to compute the weight, I want to say, well, how do I want to do this? I want to say probably if, well, yeah, okay, so the simplest way to do this would just say, do it directly. If the theta that I'm at directly points in the direction of BP theta. And by directly points in the direction, I mean if it is greater than or equal to that minus some kind of epsilon, and it is less than or equal to BP theta plus that epsilon, then let's do weight times equals 1.2f. And of course that should actually be a tree param, so I'll just do that right away. Params dot center branch weight, and then I'll let the errors guide me for a minute. Still doing that annoying thing. Should just change my key bindings on 4coder to match my Emacs ones a little bit more, since I'm too lazy to learn how to fix the Emacs ones once and for all. So I need this variable center branch weight, and then if I go over to app color, I can add it in here. At some point it might be fun to say, let's stop adding these in manually and compress this code a bit, and then do a bit of metacode that generates these adjusters based on parsing the struct. That might be a fun side project. It's pretty, I mean, that's a pretty basic use of metacode. Center branch weight. And I'll say, for fun, I'll let it range a little bit below the 1 point, the position at 1, but I'll let it range up to 2 so we can get a good look at those possible values. And I'll have it initialize at 1. Speaking of initializing things, I want to initialize min threshold weight at 1.f, and I'll initialize what's it? Center branch weight at 1.f. What do we have over here on hex chat? Connor Rents wants to know if I'm planning on supporting Raspberry Pi or Pi 2 with 4coder, and the answer is yeah. I have one, and I'm going to work on it someday. In fact, I've tested on it before. It's a bit of a tricky thing to do, but I kind of like messing with it, and it's exactly the sort of challenge that I like to deal with, so I'll make it work on Raspberry someday. What? Okay, so that's parameterizing. What's the name of it? Min weight threshold, huh? Min threshold weight. Ugh, that doesn't make any sense when you think about it. It doesn't make as much sense as the other name anyway. Alright. So let me just change these initial parameters, because I keep decreasing that stuff now and increasing that stuff. So let's say we start with 6, because that's usually where I like to put it. The initial step is going to be like 70 now, and step decay is going to be more like 0.8. That way we don't have to equal truncated from double to real. Sorry. Yes. 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 Okay. Ooh, we got some nasty branches there. Do I need to increase the weight threshold? How is that branch there coming to be is what I want to know. I think there's a bug in the drawing the thickness that's leading to that, and it's not actually a branch, because that's starting really thin, and then it's like, yeah, there's gotta be a bug somehow. I'm just not entirely sure how right now, so I'll focus on this one. Okay, so this right here adds or removes weight from the center branch. So that's at a 0.5 rule. You can actually make a lot of weird looking trees with this now. Oh man. And this is if I increase that, I'll decrease this to match it. The amount that I'm increasing this. Oh man, that also increases that, so that's got to go down, and then I can increase this more. Alright. So I think what I want to do is say, let's make it so that when I move this, it's like, okay. How do I want to do that? Basically in, yeah, in the tree-gen file, let me find where I get the skeleton. There it is. Where do I put in the first? Okay, that should be initial step. Yeah, why would that be affected by? Not totally understanding actually. Okay, let me look at this again. Turn off the broken width stuff. Increase this threshold to get rid of some of these nasty looking branches. Okay. Now, when I increase and decrease this, it changes the height at which that branch first splits. That should be independent of this parameter. Oh man, I really like looking at these. They're like so bizarre and cool. Wish this was working right now. Okay, so anyways, my main question is why is that height there dependent on this slider? That doesn't make sense to me. Q. Oh, that passes through here. Okay, so branch count, right. So I do want to take this and divide by the params dot center what is it called? Center branch weight. I do want to pop that down to the next line somehow so that it doesn't look so long. And I also want to update, where is the, somewhere in here there's like the params dot center branch weight, sure. Step decay, right, so okay, that should be actually independent because it's not being multiplied by the weight yet. Well, actually I want to see what that looks like. Anyway, so let's give that a roll. Yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about. So, that starting height is now independent of this thing, but this can't be so large if I'm also going to add to it from here. Okay, anyway, so I don't really like that because the weight here is being multiplied by this and then being multiplied by the step decay itself. Where I think I just want this as if it hadn't been increased there. Well, the step decay actually makes it smaller, but it certainly does grow pretty quickly that way. Yeah, that seems weird. I mean, that's just being multiplied by 1 right now, right? Why should that be so big now? Yeah, that's probably just the best. Now, why is that so different? What is BP step? BP step. BP step. So we are using BP step to figure out where we're going, and then we temper that based on yeah, so weight starts off at 0 and then we add to it well, I've gone over my 40 minutes, so I think I'll call this good for now. I'll have to get some more investigation into this later. It looks like, but from what I can tell, it looks like the weights are actually larger than what BP step is, which isn't something I guess I anticipated being true. You know what I should do? Is I should divide the weight by the number of hot spots that it actually like moved towards. Okay, final test for today. Okay, plus the average count. If the average count is greater than 0, then do weight divided by the average count. Oops. Interesting. Interesting. For some reason, like, decreasing this increases the outsides rather than, like, this is supposed to make the straight ones be taller, but it's actually making the side ones be smaller, which is kind of unexpected. I kind of want to fix that because I kind of think it's a bug, so let me fix that and then call it a day. As the weight, the center branch weight is normally greater than that and less than that, right? So that should be correct. And then, well, it'll have a bug in one particular case. That's not actually totally correct because theta is an angle, which is a pain. But ignoring that detail, why are you doing this to me? So, let me pop over here, and I want to see when I do this multiplication, what actually is going on. So 2070, 270, 270. Great. I would like you to break if params.center branch weight is greater than 1.2. And you can be on now. Alright, turn you off because you don't work. Increase this. Okay, so the weight, it was 45, becomes 55. P, 400, 590 becomes, and this is all in the up direction I'm guessing, so 590, 534, with 55 in between, 590, 534. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So that becomes its new P. Okay, what about the next guy? Now I becomes 1, but yeah, you go through. Okay, so now I is 0, I is 1. Weight gets increased. Great. We come back around, I should be 1 now, I should be 0. Center branch weight. So what's the weight we come up with? 46 divided by the average count of 2. Center branch weight. Okay, so 23 doesn't get changed. I'm kind of not sure what this is all about. Am I dividing somewhere? Am I dividing somewhere? There's only a couple places where I decided to divide. What does BP step look like? 59, 59, 59. Each time with the same step decay. But the weights coming through should all reflect that. Let me look at the value of I. So whenever I is 1, I expect a higher weight on average. 2, 1, 35, 12, 24. Okay, so the weight's actually less than 1 right now, which is not really helpful for my little inquiry. Alright, let me increase this, which is supposed to be increasing the length of the center branches, but for some reason shortening the length of the outer branches instead. Oh, wait. So that makes them longer. Alright, well that's not it. As that gets shorter, why would those be getting longer? Oh, and why wouldn't the main branch be getting longer? I do not totally understand. Okay. The weight is big enough, yes. So you get a new P. You say, here's where I want that vertex to go. You create a new branch point. Based on K, which is, K of 1 is where we are. New P versus the P we were at, right? The next time we get this, what's my theta? Still 270. So this is saying my y is 470 after. Okay, what is K at this point? Awesome. Let's do that again. Comes through once. Let this fill up. Okay, so it comes through once. K of 1. What's the first new P I get? 534 on the Y. The second one, which is also going up, is 492. So 530, 490. Okay. Boop. Alright. Again. Whoa. Weight plus equals the projections. Towards new P is the BP step. So the projections shouldn't have changed at all. The unmodified weight's exactly the same, but now the modified weight's exactly the same. What? Okay. The unmodified weight. Why is that smaller? Yeah, for some reason the unmodified weight is smaller. Oh, because I pushed the initial thing on and I divided it there. That really percolates all the way through. The first thing that comes in is divided by central branch weight. That's the step length of the first branch point. Okay, so for the first branch point will always have that weight. What about the second branch point? Unmodified of 21, modified of 41, almost 42. Okay. Now I shrink that. Boop again. Unmodified of 12, modified of... Wait, that's not what I want. This is the wrong K. Boop. Boop. There we go. Unmodified of 33 now. Wait, what? Okay, so the weight is 41 at K equals 2. 21, 41. 21, 41. Okay. Ooh. 31. Okay. 41. Why would that happen? Did I divide step decay at any point itself? No. Well, for some reason the weights coming out of this thing here are different every time. That step is different, but it's only been divided by the center. Okay, so it's being divided by that amount. Interesting. That doesn't explain why the non-center ones are actually bigger. You know, like what? Sure, I accept that the center one, it would make sense that the center one is staying the same, even though that's not what I wanted it to do. But why would the outer ones even be changing? I mean, they all get the same exact step here, right? They all get the same step amount value there. And all three members of the same branch point do anyway, right? So if I go through, he also gets BP42. Average count of 2. So the weight coming out is 21, and he doesn't get multiplied. Okay, so that's for k equals 3. What I want to do is introduce breakpoints here that break under these conditions. Okay, k equals 3, I get... Well, let me break actually right... Well, right there will be fine. K equals 3. Okay. Turn that off. We increase this so that it gets even smaller, and turn it back on. So, the weight came out as 14. The incoming step was smaller. Why would the incoming step be smaller? Because we've divided it. So, I divide the thing initially, and then each subsequent time that I use it, it's got BP step in there already divided. Yeah, so I can't actually use BP step here. Yeah, I said it was growing too large, but the logic doesn't work because, well, because of what I was just thinking about, what I just worked through. So this needs to be some kind of unmodified weight or something. Okay. Alright, that looks kind of maybe reasonable-ish. I wonder why it's so short now. Wait, I'm still not getting the change in size that I would expect here. That's still having the same effect. How is that possible? The unmodified weight, okay. Maybe I don't want to use the unmodified weight now that I think about it. Because if I don't include that modification, I'm still throwing away the fact that those branches are bigger, which means I'm still throwing away the fact that the next version of that branch should take advantage of that and be bigger. Okay, that's more of the behavior I would expect. Okay, so now I can grow pine trees properly. Increase this threshold just the right amount. Okay. Just so. That kind of doesn't work. Let me decrease that though. I mean, it's too much even for a pine tree. There we go. Of course, if you've ever seen pine trees in the wild, you know they tend to have just as much detail on the top as they do on the bottom, but this particular method cares about depth only. So it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. Maybe I don't want to treat depth as a deciding factor. Maybe depth of certain things can go farther than depth of other things. Like, for example, the depth off of the center branches maybe can go deeper than the depth off of side branches for a future note. But, okay, something like that. It's interesting that there's like an explosion point there, isn't it? I wonder what that's all about, actually. Cool. I'm gonna put this threshold up a little bit, actually. Increase this to another layer. There's a certain spot where it's like as it gets any closer, this segment here leaps forward, which is weird. Of course, alternatively, I can shrink that down. See what kind of trees I get with less of that kind of thing. Wait, I'll have to do, okay. Don't want too much of this to the left. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go with the pine tree method. So that's probably the best looking tree I'll get today. Alright. I'll keep that as my tree. So I didn't actually save that much time for 4coder. Maybe I'll go 10 minutes longer than I expected. But let's see. I'm going to take a quick moment and catch up with what's going on in the chat over here. See if I missed anything good. Let's see. I see LaTeX talking about laying things out. Typographical, mathematical texts and things. Ooh, a question from Ginger Bill. Will this editor support multiple cursors? Yeah, a lot of people ask about that. I don't plan to do multiple cursors anytime soon. Mainly because if I'm going to invest time into features, you know, that are gonna be like for doing big complex things, I'd rather invest them in a slightly different direction. Multiple cursors is like a solution to when you want to make lots of edits at the same time, and I think that there's probably a better way than that, like trying to get out of thinking of your editor as just being a thing that does crazy text stuff. Anyway, let's see. I'm going to switch to 4coder. Abner Coimbray kind of knows what I'm talking about, and he's saying so right now in the chat. One direction is C, C++, semantic kinds of things. Another thing that I've thought about doing is like instead of multiple cursor, you know, a lot of times multiple cursor is used for is like table-like stuff. And I've been thinking about like some sort of table editing thing where you can say, here's a segment of data that's basically a table with this many columns, or even maybe it can auto-detect. I'll have to work on it and see if that's possible, but maybe it can auto-detect, oh, here's what a line of this text looks like. Here are the different parts of the text that can vary from one line to the next. Generate a table from that, maybe. And using that table, you just edit it like a table, and then you say, all right, save this data back out as it was using the original format or other things, right? A table editing thing seems like a very useful tool for a text editor um, that edits code, because that's something that I find myself and see a lot of people spending time on. That's like rote work of just blah 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 blah, a lot of table stuff. Abner Coimbray is asking if I'm using 4coder for anything other than this tree project, and the answer is right now I'm not actively using 4coder for anything other than the tree project. The tree project's my test case for 4coder, but there have been times earlier on, and now that it's actually pretty stable. Like I just coded for an hour and 10 minutes on 4coder without making any notes of bugs, just like things that would be nice feature improvements. And so it's kind of getting back to the spot where I could do this. And there were certain times, for example, last semester, I wrote some assembly in 4coder, which isn't really the purpose of it, but it was like not that hard to do because the assembly was pretty simplified for the class that it was for, and it worked pretty well for that. It's usable, but you see most of my use of it not since over the last few months. Most of my use has just been on this one thing, this tree generating project. So anyway, I want to pick. Well, let's see. I want to add to my. Let me shut this down. I'll leave that running, but I want to switch this to 4ed now. We'll do a little work on this. So first of all, let me look at the to-do in here. I want to add a couple of new things. So Huber Caleb has always had this on his mind, and it's actually a pretty good idea. Huber's return to previous buffer idea. It's like an undo, but it doesn't apply to the text. It applies to the history of which buffers you've visited. I'm not sure if it would work exactly like that, but something like that. Text links. Arbitrary command / callbacks. Okay. So, I need to pick something and do it. Let's do command line parameters. I feel like that's calling to me today. So, how does one do command line parameters with a win_main entry point? Win_main command line arguments. I think Abner Coinbray's always wanted command line arguments, so I hope you appreciate this. Get command line. Oh, that's convenient. Cool. Transitional tool for your editor, or do you just expect your kind of audience to go there and mess with all the API stuff like Oh, Abner Quimber's got a great question. Do you foresee embedding any tutorial transitional tool for your editor, or do you just expect your kind of audience to go there and mess with all the API stuff, like Casey? Um, so I want to do a tutorial kind of thing for the editor itself, but not. I mean, so okay, so I might someday be like, here's a tutorial on how you do this and that and stuff. That would be fine, but my main plan is to just sort of like leave you in like I'm going to always try to support the customization DLL and either the customization DLL that evolves into the plugin DLL or the other plugin DLL system if those happen to not be the same thing. However that works out, but I'm always going to like work on that part of the project and put it there. But I have decided that the amount of work I'll do in helping you with it is going to be minimal unless you like ask me personally. And the reason for that is that that's my main plan forever. So I kind of do want a tutorial for like here's the tools available in the editor, tooltips or how to find your way around. And I want it to like not blow like the ones that come with Vim and Emacs, because they usually just give you a text file that are like read this and use it. I would go if I was gonna do a tutorial, I would approach it like a game designer and be like, I'm going to like move you from not knowing to knowing via activities that you are already familiar with. Um, and I've also thought about like having like an experience level, which is to you'll say you'd first boot it up and it'd be like, hey, have you used 4coder before? And you hit like never, yes, and it's like I'm a pro, and like whichever setting you put yourself on determines uh, how much you get. In terms of assistance, interruption from uh, the editor, etc. Which idea do you love, Abner? I'm not sure which one. I just said a lot of things. And I don't, like, based on because of the time sync, I don't know which one you loved specifically. Let's say what get command line does. This function has no parameters. Yes! The return value is a pointer to the command line string for the current process. Remarks. ANSI console processes written in C can use argc and argv arguments of the main function to access the command line arguments. ANSI GUI applications can use the LP command line parameter of the winMain function to access the command line string, excluding the program name. The main and winMain functions cannot return Unicode strings. Yeah, that's because they return ints. Not sure what that's about. Okay. Maybe it'll make sense. Unicode console process written in C can use the wmain or tmain function to access the command line arguments. Okay, to convert the command line to argv style array of strings. Call the command line to argvw function. Awesome. I was hoping I would find something like this. Ah, cool. So I'm glad you liked that aspect, because that's the part that I've always wondered why people don't. The Abner Clambre answered my question. He said that he liked the idea of approaching an editor tutorial as a game designer would approach a game tutorial, um, and I'm glad he appreciates that, because that's I don't know. I feel like every application that has users um, who are like not gonna directly ask you for help all the time when they're using it. Like if you have a weird application that's like very specialized, maybe you don't need this. But I think any application that's meant to be something anyone could just download from the internet and use should come with a game tutorial style tutorial in it. It seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, for all the things people complain about games not contributing to the world, if you actually like look at it, like what have we learned from making games? It's actually tremendous the amount of things you can practically use that game designers have figured out. It's kind of awesome, actually. Okay. Anyway, I want this function. Alright, parses a Unicode command line string and returns an array of pointers to the command line arguments, along with a count of such arguments, in a way that is similar to the standard C runtime argv argc values. Awesome. Awesome. 132, win main. Alright, I'll let it initialize that stuff to 0 because afterwards I might want to fill out some of the details in there with the results I get. With Ginger Bill asks, with the tutorial method, I have been using the Steam controller lately, and one nice feature is that you can enable a view mapping overlay. This allows you to see what each key combination does and what it is. Yeah, that's something I want to do someday, is have a thing that says, here's your keyboard layout, and you can just hover with your mouse in like a total visual keyboard layout explorer. That's definitely... that, like, there was a time where, like, in my head, that was actually one of the things I was about to get to doing, and then I was explaining, like, oh, I got to do this, because actually what happened was Casey was asking me if he could get some way to rebind the keys, because he said if I could start rebinding the keys, I could start using 4coder very soon, and, like, I could start playing with it, and in my head I was like, well, what I want to do is I want to show an image of the keyboard with the keys and let you do all of the bindings that way if that's how you want to do it. And you can investigate and explore the bindings even if you can't edit them. I'm not sure, like, that should be trivial to go from reading to writing the bindings, but you know, at least being able to explore them is still very, very valuable. And like, that was what was in my head, and so I was gonna do that actually a long time ago, and then he was like, well, you could do a DLL, and I was like, you know, that would be really easy. And it is one of those things where it's like, it's a very awesome feature that's going to be in there someday, but it's good enough. It's good enough for, you know, what's going on now, that it serves. I was more worried at the time about serving the purpose than having that interface, but I also care about that interface someday. Command line to argv A. Alright, so LP command line argc LPW stir. No, I don't know. What? What is this returning? A pointer to an array of... oh, it's a pointer to an LPW stir. Good thing we have a pointer type, and since we don't have LPW stir. Isn't that what you should have done, Microsoft? I mean, if we're going with this whole LP business, seems like you meant to say LPW stir, but okay. I'm gonna just... oh no! You guys got to see it this time. Emacs crashed. Win32 vars dot argv equals blah. Win32 vars dot argc equals blah. That seems like the easiest way to do this. Win32 vars. Let's see. We'll put you right here. I32 argc char star star argv. Let's see if you are okay with that method. Oh no! You insist on W. Okay, we'll handle the Unicode version. Frick. Okay, what's the deal here? We see also do you not have get command function if you use to get a command line string guys. But it's a block of contiguous memory for pointers to the argument strings and for the argument strings themselves. The calling application must free the memory by the argument list when it is no longer needed. To free the memory, single call to the local free function. Okay, I can do that. It looks like there's no A version of this, so I need to call local free later, or maybe not. I'll just okay. Wait, what is all of this? Okay, so that's because I went to local free. Certainly hope I wouldn't have to lock it. That's kind of annoying. Okay, we're gonna go with that, and what I'll do for now is just say, let's double check that it's all working together correctly. Output debug string arg vi. Are we in agreement? LP stir to L convert argument 1 from L. Okay, do you not have like an A version of this that I can use so I don't have to think about Unicode? Command line arg args. What is this? Why is there okay, so I probably have to do get command line W, actually. So the thing they're passing in to me is not the right type, and they don't have a version of this function that is the right type, so get command line W. Okay, so char star star was a lie. It's actually, well, let me, oh man, W stir maybe? Cannot convert argument 1 from, yes, okay, so let's do output debug string W. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do convert Win32 API convert W stir to stir. convert stir to W stir. That's backwards, but maybe I'll find what I want. Okay, so these are things I can convert to. Convert W stir to stir. This is just going to be the same thing again, except listing W stir instead of stir. Okay, how are you not, if you... I don't want to see this ridiculous symbol. Okay. Let's try Google again. Convert W stir to stir. What does W stir point to? Can I just ignore every other byte? What is the thing? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Two other string types listed above. A char star string, also known as a C star string, uses a null character to indicate. Okay. What are you converting to, like, C++ strings? That's not... That's not what I want. New size. WC string. What is this? New size, convert char to MBS to WCSS. Converted. What? Ooh, okay, let me look at this. Insofar as suggests some possible way to avoid all of this nonsense with Unicode that I am finding myself in. Okay, this could be it. This could be it. Is a count of the number of command line arguments passed. Is a pointer to the array of single byte character or multi-byte character strings that contain the program arguments. The array of byte that contain the program arguments. These global variables provide the arguments to main or wmain. These global variables provide the arguments to main or wmain. I'm using winmain. That might, I mean, it might still work. I should try. They're in the standard lib? That's kind of weird, don't you think? We'll see. Alright, let's see if I get anything out of this. This is the wrong Visual Studio instance. Well, how would I know? I'm not inputting anything into it, genius. Okay. Okay. Arguments. Hello and world are usually good arguments. Yeah. I'm not seeing them coming out, just to be doubly, triply sure. Well, look at that. It looks like it does work. Oh yeah, I missed it because it's buried in the bullshit. Okay. And I didn't put new lines on it or anything. Well, that works. So I'm getting command line arguments now. It's not done totally, but now what I have to do, this will be the last thing I do today, is I have to expand out the things I want to do in command line. So, Admiral Coimbray, you wanted it. Everyone start shouting at me what things should be available in the command line, because I'm going to start using this now. What options do you want on your command line arguments? Check user settings file. Name. Oh, yes. Files to open initially. That's a good one. We could also do custom DLL. Insofar as says window size and position. This reminds me up here. Miblo's number editor. Number/time number various number format editor. There we go. Yeah, Admiral Coimbray, the theme will just be a part of the user settings file, so that will be ooh, there's a good one. I'll put that full screen. Yeah, this feels like a pretty extensive list, or at least a good starter list, I should say. Um, so I think that I'll call this a start. Um, and then as people have new ideas and things, I can extend it. But that'll exercise this feature pretty heavily, I think, and make sure that it works. Oh, you like? Let's see. That's not a bad idea. Jumping to certain positions. All right. Um, position to open. All right. Awesome. So, thank you all for joining me. It's been awesome. I'll try to get a new version out with some of these features soon. Uh, so, look forward to that, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.